Well, discussions are concluding here at the business breakfast being held by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition in conjunction with the presidency around how that 100 billion rand transformation fund will work going forward. We know right now that it's going to be 20 billion rand in funding each year over 5 years. But how will it be working? How will it be governed? That's all the sort of things that have come out during the discussions here with business and various industry players. But to give us some insight into some of the reactions that we've heard here today from NAFCOC, from NEDLAC, as well as Business Leadership South Africa, I'm going to turn now to the CEO of Business Leadership South Africa, Busi Mavuso, for their take on this. Busi, thank you so much for your time this morning. Busi, you as BLSA have given us your reaction here at the Transformation Fund, saying that government has failed in so many ways, and this Transformation Fund seems like an opportunity for them to do better. Talk to us about your remarks today.
Thank you very much. So let me first start by saying that as business we understand why we need a transformation fund. This intention of it is absolutely noble. South Africa is still not yet transformed, and I think there is no arguing that. There are so many people who are still not participating in the economic mainstream. When you look at the levels of poverty, the levels of unemployment, the levels of inequality in the country, the evidence is there on the ground that transformation is still needed. When we speak about the story of South Africa, we still refer to it as an incomplete transition. And it is an incomplete transition precisely because we have failed to usher in this notion of justice and this notion of equality and equity. So there is no denying that an intervention towards transformation is required. However, we are saying as the business community, we don't know if this fund is going to succeed, because we are worried that some of the critical elements that are required to make it succeed are actually not there, at least in the draft concept paper that the minister has actually put out. The first one is the one around a comparative analysis. There's so much that government has done in as far as transformation is concerned, and all of those initiatives have failed. So has this transformation fund concept paper done a comparative analysis to look at what were the gaps, what were the weaknesses, what were the reasons why the other transformation initiatives have failed before, so that we ensure that when we implement this fund, it is not actually going to suffer the same fate. The second one is around operations. Is it going to be centrally managed? Is it going to be decentralized? Is it going to be in provinces? Is it going to be in major towns? Because if it's going to be centralized, as the paper suggests, then it is going to be difficult for all those people all over the country to be able to access it. The third one is around governance. Governance is a key one. So much malfeasance, corruption, stealing, looting has happened within government. How are we going to ensure that we don't steal this money? How are we going to ensure that there's going to be proper guardrails that are going to be put in place to ensure that the governance of this fund is what it should be? The fourth one is the PFMA. If the paper suggests that this is actually going to be utilized using the PFMA regulation, the PFMA regulation is very slow. It is not meant to be agile. It is not meant to fast track things. So if you are going to therefore ensure that this is done through the PFMA, we're afraid as business that it's not going to achieve what it needs to achieve. Another one is the funding mechanism. Is it this going to be loans or is it going to be equity? We need to define that. If you're going to be giving people this funding, what exactly are you going to be giving them? If you're going to be giving them loans, how are you then going to ensure that these loans are actually going to be repayable? The other one is the one around market access. We know that the Enterprise and Supply Development Initiative, as it stands, is within businesses, because businesses are meant to develop these suppliers so that they can actually benefit from their supply chains. If you are now taking this away from businesses, you're putting it in a fund that is outside somewhere, how is it going to ensure that these suppliers that are being developed benefit from these businesses? If you're developing suppliers, you're developing them to what end? For what supply chains? For what benefit? And I think the last and critical one is the 100 billion. Why 100 billion? What is the science behind the number? Do you know what you're hoping to achieve? What does success look like, for this 100 billion? The concept paper speaks about the transformation index, that the measure of whether this thing would have succeeded or not is some transformation index. What is the transformation index? What are the elements that are going to be there in this transformation index that are going to ensure that this fund succeeds? So as I've said, business agrees and supports the notion of transformation, and we agree that this is a noble initiative. South Africa needs transformation. But let's be careful that in setting up this fund, we don't have so many weaknesses and gaps, such that it fails the same way that the other transformation initiatives have failed.
On that note, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Busi, for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, that was Busi Mavuso there, the CEO of BLSA, giving us their take. Business, of course, agreeing that a transformation fund is needed, but just some details that need to be ironed out when it comes to the disbursement of funds. Why this number, the 100 billion rand that will be dispersed over the 5 years. But this discussion, obviously, just the tip of the iceberg, a start when it comes to that discussion there.